This work session, regular meeting of the Township Council is called to order.
Gentlemen,
Called to order, thank you. In accordance with the Open Public Meeting Act of the State of New Jersey, on May 22nd, 2018, adequate notice of this work session, regular meeting was provided as required by law. If we could all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by invocation by Councilman William Gualtieri. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us take the next few moments of silence to each speak in our own way. Whatever sources of inspiration will grant us the strength and power in our thoughts and decisions to be for the benefit of all people at all times.
Madam Master Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Chase, Councilwoman Francois,
here.
Councilman Galtieri,
Here.
Mayor Kramer,
Here.
Councilman Noni-Jaka,
Yeah.
Councilman Prasad, Councilwoman Robinson, here, Councilman Vasanella,
Here.
Councilman Wright.
Next on the agenda is commendations and proclamations, but I can see that one of our favorite commendation subjects of the year, the girls' basketball team, is not here. I think I'll proceed with the meeting. If they show, maybe they weren't notified, I'm not sure, but if they show later, we might interject them there. So I'm going to open the meeting now for public discussion, or I'll ask for a motion to do so. Do we have a motion to open?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion on opening for public discussion. All in favor of opening for public discussion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. We are open for public discussion. Anyone may approach the podium and speak for 5 minutes. May only come up once. Please state your name and address. No yielding of time. Well, we have the man in charge of power itself helping us with a microphone. Not on. Maybe we don't have enough electricity. We should call the head of the BPU to look at that.
Good evening,
I also
Council.
noticed that
Gary Rosenthal, 4306 Avery Court. I'm also head of the Human Relations Commission for the Township. This evening, there's going to be some discussion about a memorial regarding peace and nonviolence, which has been talked about for a long time, and it is coming finally to fruition. And I just want to go on notice that the Human Relations Commission has been discussing this, and we're in full support of this memorial. Thank you.
Crosby.
Good evening, Alex Carrazzi, 14 Margaret Drive, Somerset. Mr. Mayor, as the president of Franklin Township Interfaith Council, representing over 60 houses of worship, director and vice president of Masjid Ali, a member of the Human Relations Commission, and a community member who has lived in Franklin Township for over 32 years, I would like to extend my support for Peace and Nonviolence Memorial in our township. We all know the four great personalities that their statue will be in the memorial: Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Dr. Martin Luther King, and Mother Teresa. Each one of them, in their own way, promoted peace and justice by peaceful and nonviolent method. In fact, all of them are well known around the world and are great role model for leaders and ordinary people to follow. Having such a memorial in our township will be a great way to show our diverse community members, our children, and our grandchildren the type of people we are and strive to be: peaceful, caring, and promoting for justice through nonviolent means. Recognizing that these four individuals are worldly figures and belong to all, I would like to suggest that our proposed twin sister cities to also consider putting such a memorial in their town as a symbol of sisterhood with Franklin Township. I understand the statues will be donated and there is no cost to the taxpayers. I would like to request Councilman Orijaka and Prasad to work with the donor of the statues to see if he can make a similar donation to the two sister cities when their selection are finalized. Let me also take this opportunity to thank two organizations. This is a different subject, Mr. Mayor. Two organizations that will be giving out scholarship to our graduate and high school students next month. The scholarship was made possible with donation from community members and businesses to these two organizations. They are Dr. Martin Luther King Foundation, which had its 21st anniversary breakfast on January 16, and Freda Warner and Harry Van Houten Scholarship Fund, which they had their 21st anniversary luncheon last Sunday. Congratulations to all scholarship recipients, and a special thanks to the organizers of these two organizations. Lastly, as you may know, May 17th through June 15th is the holy month of Ramadan, when Muslims fast and engage in various acts of charity and serving the community. I wish to take the opportunity to wish all those who are fasting and wish them good health and thank them for their acts of generosity and care into our community. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Vishal Venkatesan, 35 Mindy Drive. MLK, Gandhi, Mandela, and Mother Teresa, they all helped the world become a better place in different nonviolent ways. So Martin Luther King, he was an activist, and he became the most visible spokesperson and leader in the civil rights movement. Gandhi, he was the leader of the Indian independence movement, and he was the creator of nonviolent civil disobedience, and he has influenced the world in a very great way. Mandela was, he was South African. He was a political leader, and he was an anti-apartheid activist. He directed a campaign against the South African government and its racist policies. Mother Teresa was known in the Roman Catholic Church. She was the founder of the Order of the Missionaries of Charity, and she devoted her life to helping the sick and poor. These four have helped the world become a better place, and putting up their statues would be great. Would be a great sign of appreciation and inspiration to the younger generation.
Varun Venkatation, 35 Mindy Drive. I just like to add to what my brother said. I think that it's great that the council is doing something like this because, I mean, thinking about what's happening around the world, and I mean, even in the U.S., with all these school shootings and the violent acts that's going on right now, I think it's important to remind ourselves about the nonviolent ways that we can revert to, and all these leaders, how they solve their issues with nonviolence and peaceful protesting. And it's important to have these inspirational figures standing as statues. It really reminds us how it's important to have nonviolence. And I just like to say that this is a really great thing that the council is doing. Thanks.
Anyone else wishing to speak?
Mayor and Council, my name is Upendra Chibukla, 536 New Brunswick Road, Somerset. I just want to let you know that we have a new governor, Phil Murphy, and tomorrow he'll be signing 3 bills. One of the bills about continuing the nuclear energy, so subsidies to the nuclear plants. The second bill is on energy efficiency, requiring the utility companies to bring about 2% energy efficiency, and if they don't reach that in 2 years, and there will be penalties, and that's another legislation. Then you have the offshore wind. We have been looking for offshore wind for a number of years. I was the author of the legislation in 2010, up to 1,100 megawatts of offshore wind, about 12 to 15 nautical miles from the shore in the Atlantic Ocean. And so Governor Murphy had an executive order number 8, where he required that we need to about 3,500 megawatts of offshore wind energy. So there are a lot of exciting things happening, and I just want to, from the as a representative of the board of public utilities, I want to make sure that you are aware of that, and also trying to participate in some of the programs, whether it's the local government energy audits and energy savings improvement program, and a number of programs that are available. And we're also trying to make sure that the low-income people are able to get the energy assistance that is required. There are a number of programs are there, but if you need any help, please give me a call. My office number is 609-777-3333. And I'm glad to hear about the International Day of Peace and Nonviolence, which is October 2nd. And I remember Councilman Rajiv Prasad and we were there at the animal shelter, where we put the picture of Mahatma Gandhi there. So a lot of things are happening, and I wish you all the best. May God bless you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi. Good evening. Bernadette Marr, 4 Norris Road, Somerset. First, I'd like to voice my support for the memorial project. I think this would be a great asset to our town, and I think it fits in perfectly with the peace and nonviolence, particularly with all the things going on in the world today. I think Mr. Karazi really summed it up very nicely. Second of all, I wanted to just give everyone a brief update on the compressor station 206. Thank you everyone who signed up as interveners, who signed letters to the DEP, who came out to the May 2nd public hearing and made comments. Most recently, the comment period was to end on May 14th. Unfortunately, on May 11th, Williams Transco did sort of a data dump, I think you would call it. They submitted over 3,000 pages of additional information, which did not give people adequate time to read and comment on. So the DEP has requested an additional 45-day period to review that. As of now, there's been no response, so we don't know whether that's going to happen or not. So in the meantime, we do ask everyone to continue to comment to the DEP and ask them to deny the water permits, and also you can call or write Governor Murphy and ask him to do the same. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak?
My name is Pragnesh Patel, and I'm residing at 228 McAuliffe Court, Somerset. Basically, the project which I heard about the memorial statues will be really great for generations to come, as well as something new for the town. And I'm in support of it. So that's what I would like to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Everyone's speaking in 30-second bites. Very nice. Council could learn that. That would be amazing.
Thank you. I'm Vinod Gupta. I live at 8 Eagles Pass in this township. Mr. Mayor, honorable members of the council, I'm very happy to know that the council is discussing the Peace and Nonviolent Memorial tonight. The memorial will be a fitting recognition of 4 legends who dedicated their lives for helping the humanity in the last 1 century. Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, and Mahatma Gandhi. I learned that the proposal includes unveiling of their statues on Route 27, which will be great reminder to the public of these great lives. While most of people here know Martin Luther King, Mandela, and Mother Teresa, let me say a few words about Mr. Mahatma Gandhi. Mr. Gandhi is known as a Rashtrapita in India, which means the father of nation. In a country of 1.5 billion people, Gandhi was a staunch believer of peace and coexistence, social justice via nonviolent activism. We feel these concepts are relevant today as they were 100 years ago when Gandhi started the movement for India's freedom from colonial rule. Unlike most other movements for freedom, which often get violent, India's peace movement remained largely nonviolent because of Mr. Gandhi's leadership. As Mr. Chukula said, Gandhi's contribution was so important that the UN adopted Gandhi's birthday as the International Peace Day. We in Princeton University have been celebrating Gandhi Jayanti or Gandhi's birthday for the last 12 years. We take the message of peace and nonviolence to the grassroots level, to the small kids of high school and middle school. I'm very happy to say that so far 50,000 students have participated in our initiative in Princeton University. That's for the last 12 years. It's a modest effort. So I really support and I like the idea of having the memorial in our township. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Time that nobody else have used. My name is Surendra Tiwari, 160 Bunker Hill Road. Honorable Council, Mayor, and Commissioner Shukla, I feel like I'm a common denominator in all the 3 things that people talked today. The compressor that I'm involved in, the energy that Shukla talked, and of course Gandhi. I just want to take a couple of minutes and talk about Gandhi. I have a very different relationship with Gandhi because Gandhi was known in India because of my district. And India was known because of Gandhi. So, I mean, India was known because of Gandhi to my district, and Gandhi was known to India because of my district. So there's a common denominator there. I think the way many people know Gandhi was different than what we knew. There's a movie called Gandhi that came in 1980s, 1990s. If you watch that, there's a place where Gandhi is asked to get down from the elephant and being apprehended by the district collector. That place is where my district is. That's where I come from. So we have a very internal, innate relationship. You know, it's in today's day and age, it's easy to forget peace because there's so much excitement. Violence is almost sexist. It's very nice, everybody loves it, it's romantic. Until your own kid gets shot, and then you suddenly is a parcel for peace. So I'm so happy that even in this age, my town, my council, my mayor is rooting to keep a memorial, to put a memorial together in our own town. So I'm all for it. I support that memorial. Thank you for doing it. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Seeing no one else come forward, I move that we close the public portion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion on that, all in favor of closing public discussion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. The ayes have it. Public discussion section is closed. It is now time for council comments, reports, and committees. And this being a somewhat special night, I'm going to take liberty of as the chair, and I'm going to go first to read the State of the Township address. I've been promising for about 3 meetings. So here we go. Citizens of Franklin, I am pleased to announce to you that the state of the township is good. I am very proud of the accomplishments of council, staff, and the citizens of Franklin. I want to emphasize, with few exceptions, these are not my accomplishments, but the accomplishments of the community as a whole. I'll start with the police department. We recently underwent a change in leadership in our police department with a new chief, and I'd like to say I still believe we have one of the finest forces in the state. Some of the major accomplishments include one officer received the highest level award for valor as presented by the Somerset County 200 Club, the state PBA award, and the State Chiefs of Police. One sergeant received a leadership award and was the valedictorian of his class for the Command and Leadership School. A lieutenant graduated from the FBI National Academy at Quantico, Virginia. In response to the school shootings around the nation, our police force is working seamlessly with the school district to greatly enhance the security and safety of our schools. Coordination between council, police, the district, and the Board of Education has led to an additional school resource officer, as well as a plan that will allocate at least one additional officer to each school. Last year, our police department was reaccredited by the New Jersey State Chiefs of Police. Only 20% of departments across the state earn this honor. We are recognized by the National Public Radio as a national model for community policing. Our Summer Youth Police Academy has become a model for the state. Our court system shows diversity in our judges and prosecutors. The library. Our library moves forward. A northern branch will be included in the Lewis Street Youth Center. While our purchase fell through for land for a library-owned building of the southern branch, plans still advance towards a goal that will save tens of thousands of dollars a year. In the last year, the library has 23,000 registered borrowers, a circulation approaching 370,000, over 780 volumes in collection. There are almost 600 digital items available. We are once again offering a summer concert series, and the summer reading programs had 529 participants who read almost 20,000 books. The library continues to televise its monthly board meetings, including increasing the openness of government. In that vein, the Sewage Authority, at my prompting and Councilman Galatieri's hard work, has begun to televise their meetings. We will soon be televising the majority of civilian committee meetings. I'm proud of last year's achievements of our Recreation Department, teaching 152 residents to swim, providing a safe, open swim atmosphere for 319 residents at Williams Pool, engaging 544 children in summer camp, providing mentoring and leadership skill development to 200 local teens, generating $60,000 in prevention grant funding, providing 13 programs for residents with special needs, servicing a total of 9,000 residents in approximately 200 programs, 160 of which are for children, rebranding our senior citizen programs as Forever 55 and offering over 40 programs, expanding the FYI program to include Friday night hoops to 40 teens, coordinating the annual fireworks for thousands of residents, coordinating the Franklin Day Festival for approximately 20,000 attendees, for which, of course, we also thank former Councilwoman Sherman. We continue our progress on paving roads. This has been a long campaign of Councilman Vassinella's. This year, we will be paying for paving with cash, saving tens of thousands of dollars on interest and bonds. We are accomplishing Councilman Wright's long-awaited sidewalk project, which encourages walking and provides added safety for our children. Our local emergency broadcast radio station is almost complete, which will provide information to citizens when they most need it. Canal Fest, which is largely a private undertaking with township encouragement, now serves over 5,000 people and also contributes to the food bank. While the food bank is a separate organization, the township frequently reaches out to provide support. Included in Councilwoman Francois' many accomplishments, I am particularly proud of her work to spearhead the building of the Franklin Youth Center. As the founder and leader of the Franklin Youth Initiative, I am proud of the work she continues to do with the youth and of her involvement with the planning, rezoning, marketing, and revitalization of Hamilton Street Business District. Councilwoman Robinson is concentrating on improving our transportation infrastructure, youth mentoring, and has demonstrated her unwavering commitment and dedication of leading and living the mission and vision of Franklin. Councilman Chase continued to drive us towards environmental responsibility and acquisition of open space. His fight for the Little Rocky Hill water main fix will soon end in victory. His work towards the renovation of the Kingston School and subleasing it to the Yingha International School has attracted many new residents to the area. Councilman Prasad has kept us aware of recreational needs that acknowledge how the needs change over time. Both Prasad and Chase lead our efforts in thwarting the compressor station in the southern part of town. The gazebo project, led by Bill Grippo and the Cultural Arts Committee, was started just a few months ago, yet it is slated to be finished within 2 months. We will soon be building Catalpa Park and continue to fix our existing parks. Councilman Onijaka has been diligently pushing for a portion of the buildings at the Consulate Mission to be used as a local community center. He has also been working with police to lower crime in the 3rd Ward and reducing car-on-deer accidents in town. Speaking of Consulate Mission, we continue to communicate with the YMCA and attracting them to build on the newly acquired property. Much of this is owed to Councilman Wright, and Deputy Mayor Robinson will soon take the initiative in advancing that plan in the near future. Councilman William Galtier has brought us all back to school on construction issues and infrastructure. The old hands on council are learning from the councilman who uses a backpack. Taxes. Township growth, together with the budget increasing so little since 2009, will actually lower the municipal portion of property taxes on the average home in Franklin for the 2nd year in a row. Let me repeat, the average homeowner will pay less in municipal property taxes for 2 years in a row. Open space. All of council shares in the additional preservation of over 150 acres of open space this year. Affordable housing. Call it affordable housing, fair share, or COA. The town has received court approval for our fair share plan to address the township's obligation to provide affordable housing. This is due to the township's proactive approach, and because of it, the township will not need to rezone any properties to meet additional affordable housing obligations, unlike many towns. This approval by the court protects the township from the builder's remedy lawsuits for the next 8 years. I cannot stress enough how significant this fact is. Many towns are up against a huge obligation which will affect their taxes, zoning, schools, and traffic for years to come. We didn't merely dodge a bullet. We skillfully, strategically, and methodically avoided the gunfight. At the New Jersey Conference of Mayors, at least 25% of this discussion was about this issue, and while other mayors were listening intensely and squirming in their seats, I was answering constituent emails wondering what these other towns had been doing for the last decade. In the future, this council will strive to fight will strive to fight the growth of taxes because the cost of living is one of New Jersey's residents' biggest challenges. We will continue to push for economic growth as we are doing along Hamilton Street and Davidson Avenue. Youth, seniors, education, and open space preservation will remain priorities. We will work with non-government organizations to maintain a safety net for those in need. We will strive to sustain a police force which reflects our population and treats them with respect that all people deserve. And we will continue to fight for our citizens and for all citizens in the regions to prevent Compressor Station 206 from ever breaking ground. Thank you. Oh, I skipped a page. No. Why don't we start to my right with Councilman Galtieri.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I guess my portion ties right into what your comment was. I'd like to congratulate any students that graduate from college this year. I know it's graduation time, so any of our residents, good job. Good luck going into your future endeavors, whatever they may be. And to those finishing up the school year, have a safe summer. And if you're taking classes, I'm sorry you're going to be inside for the summer season. But and trust me, I feel that with over the next 8 weeks. As far as committees coming up, our recently meeting, we had an admin committee meeting last week, 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago. We met with the county health department, and one of the outcomes out of that also was we discussed future investigate possible ways to help assist in submitting applications, possibly electronically to smooth the process, but we are slowly looking into that, and we'll have further information later on. As far as roads, we just came out of DPW. I'll briefly cover some of it, and then I'll go over to Councilman Vassanello, let him comment as well. But real briefly, we have come to a consensus on the roads repaving for this year, I believe. So that plan will be put together, and then later on this year, we should start to see some of the roads paved, I believe. But there was a lot of discussion amongst other council members, and we worked to make sure that as many roads as possible could be paved with this year's budgets. Other than that, I have nothing else, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Onijaka.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. First of all, I am highly pleased that Franklin Township in general has joined other series on this non-violence issue. If you consider what is going on in this world of today, it's a very great achievement, and most especially the status selected actually reflect the diversity that is in Franklin. Franklin has been noted for diversity, and at the same time now we are adding a new feather in our cap by moving forward towards non-violence today. And I want to make it categorically clear, sure, that I am ready to work with Councilman Passard, for us to actualize this project. I will do everything within my reach to make sure we achieved it. And thank you, the council, for going through this and approving it. Another thing, I want to use this opportunity to thank our honorable and able commissioner who is here, Shekola Opendra, for letting us know how we're going to save money in utilities and conserve our energy, which shows that you are really, really taking care of Franklin. Thank you, sir. And at the same time, the road paving. In fact, I just came out of the meeting with other councilmen, and I realized, and I'm happy too, that my ward will have a new facelift, most especially the junction between Blackwell and Blackwell.
And Van Cleef.
And Van Cleef. You know, that area has been really torn. In fact, I received a lot of complaints on that particular junction. And I'm happy today that we're able to resolve that issue and that problem will be taken care of. It's of a great pleasure and happiness to me. So thank you, Mayor. That's what I have for today.
Thank you. Councilman Kimberly Francois.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to announce we're talking about the youth. The Franklin Youth Initiative is sponsoring a Warriors for Life graduation conference over at the Senior Community Center on June 17th. Happens to be Father's Day, but we thought it was befitting to get that done before the kids left school. And the whole intent of that event will be to have colleges come in and prepare our youth for matriculation to college. So we'll have a bunch of colleges that are going to be over there talking and working with the youth. So I'm happy to hear about that. I also wanted to mention that the Peace and Nonviolence Memorial, the concept is something, the concept plan is a beautiful plan. There's no way that anybody could be against something that beautiful and the concept for having that here in Franklin Township. I think, and also the statues that we're going to have to represent peace and nonviolence. Given everything that has happened in the world today, just last week, those kids in Texas lost their lives. The more of these things happen, the more we seem to be somewhat oblivious to what's going on because it's happening so much. So peace and nonviolence is something that we really need to hear in Franklin Township and everywhere in the world today. I also want to say that I'm for the project. I think clearly we still need to do some more vetting as far as making sure we understand the costs and the legalization associated with that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Onijaka. I'm sorry, Councilman Vasanella. We're going for second ups.
Musical chairs. Thank you, Mayor. Last week I got the honor, and it truly was an honor. I was at McCarrick, Parker at McCarrick Nursing Home here in Franklin, Convalescent Center, Rehab Center. These facilities are known by many names and often provide many services. We have a handful of premier facilities here in Franklin, including that one. They happen to, every year have a special recognition of, and I think it's the week, not the month, nursing care, nursing home week or month, but nonetheless, I was honored to go bring a proclamation about that and read it to them. And real quick, I know when I got there, they're like, oh, well, you could just read this and go. And I noticed that they had a whole bunch of people there, well, dozens of the patients and some staff, and they were, a bunch of them were holding papers with kind of like cue cards. And the celebration was about, the theme this year was kind of about celebrating their lives. And, you know, I said, no, I'd like to stay and listen. And I really did. I didn't know if it would have been worth it, or I'm wondering, you know, what am I going to hear? I heard some of the most fantastic stories about these people's lives, and as much as they were short, and you know, they just all gave a quick paragraph or two about their lives. It was just absolutely amazing. And you know, obviously we have a lot of seniors in Franklin. We have a lot of these homes that house people that may have lived here. Many of them may have lived here, or that are from another town and bring people in. If you ever get a chance, obviously, if you have anyone yourselves in any kind of convalescent or center like this, take the time when you can, because whether it's them or their roommate or someone down the hall's lives, boy, the things you can learn from our elderly citizens, especially those who unfortunately don't have much to do because of their limited capabilities. But it truly was an honor. And be happy next year to go to any of the facilities, if my schedule allows, if any of them want to acknowledge or have the type of festivity they had there. Anyway, sorry to take up so much time with that, but I really thought it would be worth mentioning. So real quick, the scholarship dinner was mentioned by somebody in the audience. There was a scholarship dinner. They gave out the 3 awards. Boy, I'll tell you, if you dropped in there from anywhere in this state or anywhere in this country, and you saw those 3 recipients and their essays that they read, the essay that they had a right to win it, and it was a small scholarship, but it was a significant scholarship, you would think, rightfully so, that our school system in Franklin produces as good as any school system in this entire state and probably this entire country. I was impressed beyond belief, as though I'm sure the council members that were there also were, so also thought worth mentioning. So with some township business, the meeting tonight, so council and the public's aware, this year was very difficult because we had a lot of roads that deteriorated a lot worse than we thought. We had roads we didn't realize were in such bad condition that some of us brought back to the table. Upon second review, realized we had to reconsider everything. Long story short, we had to struggle to whittle down what could have been $3 to $4 million worth of paving down to about $2 and $3/4 million. All council people will be sent a copy of the recommendations from the Public Works Committee, which is 4 council members, and staff, top staff that works out that list. So if anybody has any real concern, please email council, or we'll discuss the road, but if possible, please try to find it in your heart to consider accepting this list so we can get the ordinance done next week, next meeting, and start going with what is going to be a real lot of road repaving. And if somebody in the audience notices their road or at home is approved, just beware. We actually pave about 1/2 to 2/3 of the roads that we approve in a budget year. The budget is passed for your road, the money's set aside, so it will absolutely be done, but a majority of the roads, like I said, will be bumped to the following spring. So the important thing is getting it in this year's funding so you know indeed it will be done. And with a little luck, the list will be public and approved in 2 weeks. Other than that, I wanted to mention the Soccer Family Fun Day. The Franklin Soccer Association, or club, whatever it's called, is having their big yearly gathering, fundraise, fun day, family fun day at Middlebush Park. It's a great event. I think it goes from 3 to 7, if I remember right. But it really is a great event. They have great raffles. And I did want to acknowledge Mr. Commissioner Shevakula, formerly Assemblyman Shevakula, formerly Mayor Shevakula, Franklin Township. And important to me, he was my representative because he was the councilman of the 5th Ward before I was for a couple of terms, and really did a lot in seeing this town through a transition of its own at that time. And I just wanted to acknowledge his really lifelong service, public service. Other than that, I just want to mention the statues. Mr. Prasad, Councilman Prasad, I know this has been a mission of yours for 10 years, and upon, I guess, tweaking out any last few concerns, hopefully this will get passed and move along. And I truly think, not if, but when this can be done, that this memorial on 27, which there was other places considered, and that was part of what took so long and part of the, debate of what to do with this, if indeed it gets put down there. That is a route that's traveled by a lot of people from a lot of places in this world and a lot of places in this state. It's the corridor of Middlesex and Somerset County, and I really think, if and not if, when done and done properly, this will be a landmark that will slowly creep around the state and get recognized, and people coming this way will look and point and see that. And whatever is going on in the world, hopefully that will give a little bit of inspiration. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Well, the man of the hour, Mr. Prasad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, the reports. Land use, we're meeting tomorrow, and we have a slight conflict because we also have the Community Foundation meeting that was rescheduled for tomorrow evening. So I'll have to figure out some way to work that out.
I might suggest, Councilman, that the Land Use Committee meeting should only take about 15 minutes. If you look at all of the documents that were supplied, I think you can get through it very quickly and attend your Community Foundation meeting.
Great, thank you. Human Relations, as Councilman Galtieri said, that we did meet with Dr. Paul Masaba, the health officer, county health officer, and it was about requesting him to streamline the health inspections that are required for weekend parties. What happens is that people book a party on a Saturday and they're required to give 10 working days notice in order to schedule an inspector to go there and inspect the trays of food and the temperature, which has to be about 140 degrees Fahrenheit, and that is all they do. And yet you have to spend all this time waiting, and if they don't meet the 10 working day deadline, so we're trying to work out ways to streamline that and become more business friendly. And also, the onus also falls on the residents trying to hold these parties, because they kind of give us last minute notice and come to the council or the township manager and say, please, shorten the time for me. So we're trying to educate the public better, as well as figure out ways where maybe we could use technology to take the temperature and it would give you the time and place and location and transmit it, as a lot of electronic and health equipment is doing already with your Holter monitoring, etc. So using that technology, we could streamline that process and make it a little more business friendly and resident friendly. So we're working towards that, and hopefully we can go to the Health Advisory Board meeting and try to talk to them about some ways we can make this happen. So Dr. Masaba asked me to come to the meeting, so I will try to be there for that. Now to the peace and nonviolence. As has been said, we plan to build a peace and nonviolence memorial with bronze statues donated of Mahatma Gandhi, Dr. King, busts of Nelson Mandela and Mother Teresa. This would be located on the corner of Route 27 and Cortelius Lane on the edge of the Consolata property near the pump station. The 150th birthday of Mahatma Gandhi is on October 2nd, and as was stated, he's been honored by the UN with World Peace and Nonviolence Day for his birthday for the last 12 years. We plan to have a service on Saturday, September 29th on the grounds of the proposed site, and that would be Saturday, September 29th in the afternoon. Our manager has requested a nod direction from council to proceed with the preparation of the ground and all the other work that goes into putting an installation or a memorial like this together and exploring all the issues and addressing them before this deadline. And as issues with this memorial will be resolved between the staff and the council as needed. So in that, I request that the council give a head nod to the manager to start exploring and moving forward with this project. So if we can have a nod of heads, appreciate it.
Or does other council have comments? No, he's asking for a head nod. So before we give a head nod, is there any discussion on this subject?
I was going to say it in my comments, but I want to reiterate what Councilwoman Francois said. There's still some exploratory things that have to be done. So with that being said, I'm in agreement. We're going forward with the exploratory to move forward.
Any other comments?
Councilman Prasad? So one of the things, when I spoke to the manager, he mentioned you did the memorial out here for the 9/11.
Right.
And it took some time to get that done, the way you did it, and you did an excellent job on that. So the time frame is a little tight. You know it's tight. It's very tight. And we have our public works staff is pretty stretched, pretty thin, especially if you look at what's been going on with the shrubs and the pickup of the trees and
Right.
everything. And that's a critical time in the summer to get things done, mows lawn, and, there's a lot of work that our public works people have to do. So I am a little concerned about the timeline. It's really, really tight. So, I know you want to get this done September 29th. It might not happen. We might have to do some other dedication memorial if in fact we can't make that date. I'm a project manager, and I know you got to really vet out your project plan. You have to have your timeline. You have to have your schedule. You have to have your costs estimated. You have to have your resources allocated. You have to have a project plan. And I think, we got some work to do there. You even said that there may be some a time in August when we'll have the statues available. So it might not be enough time to get that dedication service. So I just want to put that down as a caveat. We're going to make sure we vet through the cost and the project and make sure we do this the right way. We don't want to have a peace and memorial monument and we don't roll it out in fine, grand style.
Mr. Mayor,
That's what I want to say about that.
can I make one comment there?
Sure.
I don't think everybody heard Councilman Prasad. And what we did say was we would have a service on the grounds of the intended site. So irregardless of whether or not our councilor, Mr. Renaud, or our township manager was able to put everything together at that time, we would have a service in remembrance of everyone
Okay.
at the site,
About the
irregardless
monuments,
of whatever
perhaps.
happens.
Okay.
It will be there at that time at the site.
Okay.
Any other comments?
With that, can we have the,
So I have comments. So, of course, everyone loves peace, nonviolence. But I was in the military. No one craves peace and nonviolence more than the soldier who will make the ultimate sacrifice. But I think we need to go into this with our eyes wide open. And what do I always worry about? I always worry about finances. So one thing that was discussed years ago about this is that it would be at no cost to the town, and Councilman Prasad has diligently sought donations, and I commend him for that. We've kind of said, as we did with the 9/11 memorial and with the gazebo, that some labor would be provided by the town, moving stuff in, digging holes, things like that. And those costs were relatively minimal for those projects. Mr. Prasad, it's unfortunate that he couldn't show how beautiful this project is with the drawings, the renderings he has available. It's gorgeous, but it's momentous, not just in how it looks, but in its structure. And so I know that the manager looked at those costs and that time. And Mr. Manager, what do you have to report from us?
Well, what do I have to report as far as, so I've met with the Public Works Manager about this particular project and the time frame that he anticipates it would take to construct what's proposed in the renderings that were provided by Councilman Prasad. And he estimates that it would be probably anywhere between 6 and 10 weeks of labor for a crew of about 8 employees working. Generally speaking, I won't say that they'll be there every day, obviously weather conditions and the like, but there's a significant amount of assembly of details of the monument that would be rather labor intensive. So, that's pretty much where we're at as far as the labor involved in constructing this. There's concrete work to be done, there's granite work to be done. Obviously, there's the construction of a parking lot and that type of labor. So I think that, as Councilwoman Francois said, I think that the time frame to try to have it constructed by September 29th that's kind of a lofty goal that I love challenges, and so does my Public Works Department, but I don't like challenges that where I'm set up to fail. I don't like failure. I think that perhaps maybe a better idea as we work through this entire process and we work towards the planning of the construction is perhaps there's a groundbreaking ceremony that's held on the 29th, and we can get nice shiny shovels like they have in the conference room there, and you can break ground for and some of the preliminary work, the site preparation certainly can be done, and there's some additional work that needs to be done as far as the receipt of the materials. I know Councilman Prasad sent an email to me, I think it was last night, that he anticipates most of the materials being available to Public Works by August, so that makes it even more difficult to try to get something done in probably about 6 weeks' time. I think there's a little more than 6 weeks' time worth of labor here.
So there's what you just mentioned, there's costs to that.
There are.
The average DPW worker makes about, with benefits, about $85,000. So you're talking of 2 months of work at $85,000 for 8 people. So this is not a small cost. I think council needs to absorb that. And then there are the legal issues. This is art. Art has copyrights. I think that needs to be vetted by our attorney. Now, you did have a sentence in there. I absolutely acknowledge that, as things will be handled by council and staff as needed. But I think, before we put a shovel in the ground on the 29th, I think we need to completely understand what the costs will be and what the legal ramifications will be. This is not putting a piece of iron or steel that we got from the World Trade Center. There are copyright issues, et cetera. So I am optimistic about this, but I want to be careful that we don't put the town in jeopardy by overstepping this. So I would like that we, before any major expenditures other than study go forward, that the manager and the attorney investigate the ramifications of this before we start expending costs. So this isn't a true motion, but that would be my modification to your request. So first do the vetting up front before we start spending the money. To make sure that we can do this and we do it right. Maybe for the amount of money we want to spend, we have to have a simpler project. I don't know. I'm not saying that. I'm just wondering that. When you get a project like this and it's so exciting that you just want to do it, sometimes you have to slow down and hold back a little bit. So that's my thought.
So, Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Just listening to everything and trying to come up with something that can work for everybody, or at least be relatively content. Like the gazebo and other projects, is there a reason, I guess the two main things I'm hearing is we want to make sure that the artistic aspect of it, there's no legal issue. Very important, but that's pretty straightforward. So I would imagine if Councilman Prasad and the attorney stayed in correspondence, and if there was any at time that the attorney said, whoa, put the brakes on, this is going to get you in trouble, obviously we would put the brakes on because we're not going to get in trouble or don't want to get in trouble. So that being said, the only other aspect is the money. I did a quick calculation here, and I'm not going to question the numbers, although I think I even heard the manager say that 6 weeks or so doesn't mean they're going to be out there constantly. So let's say they're even out there for 4 weeks. I just did some quick calculations in my head. I could be totally off, but in worst case scenario, I think we're talking about a cost of somewhere between $50,000 to $100,000. Seems a little high to me, but let's say that's it. If it's a matter where township wants to set a limit, the council of like a not to exceed, then maybe we could do that. But I'm not sure why we can't kind of move this along and also monitor carefully the two concerns that I think we all equally share. In other words, get it going. If there's a reason to pause, I trust the professionals with the numbers and with the law books will tell us immediately. Have the groundbreaking of whatever shape it's in, as long as it's safe, whether there's nothing done or it's 3/4 done, and do it like we've kind of done a lot of other projects. As unique as this is, we've done a lot of projects of all sorts in this town where it was a hybrid of funding and whatnot. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Anyone else?
So do we need to hear from the attorney regarding any legal work that needs to be done?
No.
Oh, go ahead, Carl.
I defer to my
Go ahead,
deputy
Carl.
counsel, Mr. Ray.
No, I mean, a counselor can go ahead. I was just saying, going to go back to what I just said was, I just don't want to micromanage a process that we all know involves a cost. We all know that has issues tied to it. Now, Councilman Basadella said something very good, and I appreciate that. But again, I would rather not keep throwing the ball in the air to somebody else when we don't have to. You have two capable individuals in here that are on our payroll that can say it's going to cost X, Y, Z. You have an attorney here who's going to go out and says, Rashid, I can't get this licensing agreement together. I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm going to have to throw the ball back to you. You throw the ball back out to the court, and we'll come up with something else. We all know that. Now, as far as moving forward without knowing the details, listen, Rajiv and I, Councilman Rajiv and I, we had that little meeting today, like 5 minutes ago, and I went down there to the other end. I interrupted the counselor and Rajiv having to talk because I just wanted to make sure in my mind, I don't know anybody else's mind because I'm just one of 9 individuals here, that this process didn't get monkeyed around. Everyone wants to throw bullets at it, which is fine. I threw bullets myself, okay? I threw bullets myself, but the counselor's not going to allow this township to blow itself up. Now, I can't speak for him. He will definitely chime in as soon as I'm done. But please, let the township manager, let our counselor do what's required. What's the word? Vetting the process. Let them do what's required. Come back to us throughout the summer. And I know it's not going to be done by September, so that's not even a no-brainer. That's why we're doing the ceremony. That's all I got to say on the issue. We all know it's going to cost $1 or $2, and I hope sure Councilman Prasad has that $1 or $2 in his back pocket. I know our former mayor over there, he's looking at his cell phone. I know you got a couple dollars in your pocket, brother, so. He's digging right now. But I think that good process. I'm with the program. Council, our attorney, Louis Raynon, please bring it up. I'm done.
Before anyone else goes, Madam Clerk, we're getting a lot of feedback. Is there anything you can do to turn down the volume a little bit?
Limit the feedback that council gets.
Turn the system off so no one hears us?
That's the
Anything like that.
So the one thing I noticed, Mr. Mayor,
Council looks to limit feedback, right? That's the
the
headline.
one thing I noticed for the people who got feedback is when their microphone was pointed up. If they would just pull it down a little bit, I think you lose the feedback. It was when they got pushed up that they
We have a sound engineer on board. Thank you. That's great. Very good. Okay. You know, I'm going to say something, and then our counsel can overrule me, but my guess is that he doesn't have a lot of information yet to speak on, and I don't know if he has any opinions yet, but given that you were asked.
I don't, and I just really received enough concrete information within the last 24 hours so that we can now begin in the process. Obviously, this is it's a significant public project, as Councilman Vasanella said. It involves the donation of works of art. Now, that's not something we do every day, so we have to make sure that whatever agreements are done correctly. We have to make sure that whatever licensing of whatever images that we are properly acquired. And Bob and I will begin to work through that process. And like I said, until 24 hours ago, and maybe it was less than 24 hours because it was pretty late last night when Councilman Prasad sent it to me. I didn't even really I understood names, but I didn't understand what the images were. I now have photographs of them, so it gives me something that I can at least begin work from. And I indicated to the councilman in our 2 or 3 conversations we've had in the last couple of days that to the extent that I need more information, then the manager and I know how to do that. We know how to ask for information. As I think the word was vetting, we'll vet it, and then we'll come back to council.
My other thought is, I don't know of a project of this size that has been run by a single council person. Is council okay with Councilman Prasad doing all that? I ask the question.
Mayor, my answer, I'll gladly, I think from the day Councilman Prasad got on council, at one of our first meetings, he was talking to me about this, so I'm not looking to steal the show from him, but I gladly would assist in any way possible, work alongside with him, as I have to a degree in this process, as it's been going through these committees the last few years. So I'd be happy to do that, and I imagine Councilman Prasad would welcome the assistance or guidance of up to another 2 council people, of course, keeping it under the quorum quota of 5.
Well, I'd like to be kept appraised of the costs, effects on DPW.
I wouldn't mind working with Councilman Prasad, but I agree with the mayor. I think we all should be apprised of what's going on. We're all in this together. Sometimes I can't. No, let me rephrase that. We're not all in this together. I can only speak for myself, but we are in this together. Meaning we have governance over what happens, and it's our responsibility. So we all should be kept in the loop, regardless who leads it, regardless of who's working on it actively. We all should be kept in the loop.
I believe Ben Franklin said we must all hang together or we will surely hang alone.
I would just like to say that with Councilman Prasad as the chairman of this organization, this group, this fundraising committee, this project creation, all that other kind of good stuff, I would definitely like to help Councilman Prasad in this endeavor.
Now we have 5 people.
Excuse me?
That became 5 people. That's true. I just want to be apprised, so, okay, go on.
There you go. So, away we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, just for
Yes.
your information, 10 years ago, the council passed a resolution to put a peace and nonviolence memorial on Town Hall in the corner of the entrance to the property. And there was an ad hoc committee at that time that was formed. Councilwoman Francois, myself, and Mr. Sumter and Mr. Vasanella were all part of that at that time. But, things changed, and I was the only one left. We did do a fundraiser, and we raised some money. But
We're
then,
still here.
Yeah. Yeah, well. Yeah. But there was an ad hoc committee that was put together to.
Suggesting we abandon you?
No. So
Yes.
there was process that happened 10 years ago. But I take all the comments, as great suggestions, and would love to have the help, number one. Number two, this is the nod that I'm asking for and the manager's asking for is to basically proceed with the exploration, looking into all the issues that you're bringing up, Mr. Mayor, and resolving them and moving forward with the project, as opposed to, not doing anything. So that's the nod that the manager had asked for, and that's what the nod is that I'm requesting.
Okay, so I am not going to call for a nod.
Not in a wink?
I think that's easier.
We're all out of order. So right, that's a very good way. Anyone opposed? I am for looking into this and vetting it completely to make sure we make no mistakes here.
So, just to be clear, is the idea here, because I don't want it to come back to where there's any misinterpretation of the semantics, that we're moving forward, but if any of these issues that are, quote, being vetted, and I think we know what they are at this point, there's an issue, it will be, everybody will be informed, and I guess if it's an issue that's substantial enough, then we will halt the project. But as long as there's not an issue that can't be resolved that comes up, is the understanding then that we don't have to come back to this council's body to get an official approval? Because all of a sudden it's going to be August, the statutes may be here, or a time in July where he's got to give the go-ahead. So if there's not something that the manager and the attorney say is substantial and we should stop this process, is this understanding we do not have to come back to this body for this to roll out, whatever pace or speed it does? It's the only part I want to be clear on. I'm not arguing it. I just want to be clear.
No, I just wanted to comment on the elaborate plans that you saw. Those were for this location, and all those plans will have to be modified because the memorial itself has been changed. It's got a parking lot behind it, and all those things have to be changed and modified. So it is all subject to change. And so it doesn't have to be as elaborate. We can modify it to suit cost concerns that we have, and also, without compromising the aesthetics of it. And if you look at the 9/11 example, I think our DPW people do a very good job. So they can be very creative and yet achieve the same goal. So we're taking a drawing from 10 years ago and trying to cost it out for the new place, whereas it has to be adapted anyway, so we will figure out the best way to adapt it and make it more cost efficient and fit whatever budgets we can afford.
So given that there's going to be adaptations, I would not be comfortable with it just proceeding on its own without coming back before this body.
So the idea is for the visual part to come back so people are comfortable.
So you're gonna try to define it so precisely that we would be here for an hour. It's
Okay,
just
but
that-
let me ask you a question. If Councilman Prasad was to do the same thing that we did to the gazebo and said, I got this thing all mapped out. Councilor Louvernon, the township manager, Bob Vorenlocker, came back and said, hey, it's going to cost $60 million, whatever. He's got the plan. It's done. He gives it to our township attorney, and we say, okay, go ahead and build it on our land. Boom, it's done. So for us to want to micromanage something, I don't have any problem with it. But the best of what I'm trying to say is, if Rashid had the money right here, right now, you and I wouldn't be having this conversation. That's what I'm trying to say. Now, we can go back and forth, as you say, and ping-pong this thing all night long, and it's actually 8:15. I don't mind. I have nothing else to do, and I don't have anybody to bury tomorrow morning, so I can stay here for that. But, no, you just laid it out to the two gentlemen to handle it. Let's not micromanage this damn thing. Let's let it go. Again, I'm only one of 9. Rajiv's one of 9. Chanel's one of 9. You are one of 9. Everyone down this line except Lou and the township manager are one of 9. Ted Chase is not here. So let's give that man a nod at the other end to figure out what it is he needs to do. You can come back to us and say, hey, Rajiv's got the plan, he's got the money, he's got everything. Our people will do the work. That's not an issue. And then just let it go. That's all I'm saying. Just let it go. I understand you have a need to be the policy wonk. You want to know this, you want to know that. But let's be honest. Let's be honest here. Councilman Prasad, had you had your ducks in a row and had you had the money in your pocket, we wouldn't be here right now. And you know, we would not be here right now, but we are. So we're going to make do with it. We're going to work this thing through. Now, I would appreciate if we all would get off of this. If no one has an issue, let our township manager proceed. And if you really want to get it down to bread and butter, do you need a motion for this, or can we just move this on? Would y'all like to have a motion on this? That way it's in the books, it's fermented, there's no issue about this? And if that be the case, I would like to make a motion that we give our township manager, Bob Vornlocker, the wherewithal and ability to vet this program out using our township attorney to make this thing possible. That is my motion.
So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion. Anyone wishing to speak?
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to say, since we're going to have a subcommittee, that subcommittee could read out periodically on the progress of the project, like we vet any other type of subcommittee when we do these types of things. Ad hoc, yeah.
Any other discussion?
As needed, of course.
Any other discussion? So my comments are, on the simple project of the gazebo, it came back to council 3 times. This is a more complicated project. This is a more expensive project. We're going to disagree with Councilman Vasanella's calculation. It's going to cost the town $100,000, not 50 to 100, $100,000 minimum, probably more than $100,000. I don't know of other projects like this being introduced in a day and just saying, go ahead, do that. So I disagree with that, and I would like to amend the motion that it does come back to this full body to discuss issues that come up as the manager and the attorney feel is fit.
If the gazebo came back 3 times, if we have to come back 10, 15, 20 times, that's what it takes before actually doing, that's what it takes. I mean, even this is on a bigger scale. It's no different than any other project. If you look at it from a high level, we do have to do our due diligence or allow the township manager and Mr. Renon to do the due diligence to give us the information. And to your point, Councilman Vasanella, I don't think we have enough information to say whether we will or will not come back to this council. But I think that we would have to come back to this council based on the scale of the project.
So is that a second to my amendment of the motion, of my motion? Because
Your emotion?
I made an amendment to the motion that it should have to come back to this body.
I second.
Okay.
So it's to
Second the amendment.
to review the process, Councilman Wright made a motion, Councilman Prasad seconded it. During the discussion, I amended the motion, and I am asking for a second to that amendment.
I just did.
And Councilman Francois has seconded that. Is there further discussion on the motion?
Yes, Mayor.
Yes, sir.
So just, and Councilwoman Robinson, I just want to make sure, I think we are on the same page. What I was saying, and if this is what the motion says, then I want to know that the mayor put it well, as the attorney and manager feel it's necessary, and or to come back with a drawing when the final drawing's done, if it's different than the one that he started with. But otherwise, just to come back to rehash and rehash, I don't want to do. So it probably will come back, but I mean, I'm fine with it coming back. I'm not sure exactly what we're
Is there further discussion?
stipulating.
Is there further discussion on the amendment to the motion?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Could you start down on my end with the voting? I know, Ms. Anne Marie, we usually go in alphabetical order. Well, alphabetical order, if you flip it around, I'm first. So could you please start in alphabetical order, starting from the bottom?
Parliamentarian? Is there any issue with that?
I think the
I'm
township
fine.
code lists how people are called, right? It's by alphabetical order, right? I think. It always has been. I've never been asked that question. I'd have to. Certainly, you
been
could
asked
suspend the rules, Mr. Mayor, and you could.
That's fine. Is there any other discussion on the amendment to the motion? Hearing none, we are now amending the motion. We are not voting on the final motion, but we are voting on whether we are amending the motion so that Mr. Wright's initial motion was basically to have the manager and attorney start doing the work to getting this done. Is that a reasonable quote of what you said, Mr. Wright?
Sure.
Okay, and the amendment is, but it will come back as the manager and the attorney feel fit. So we are amending the motion in that way. A yes means we are amending it, that it can come back as they feel fit. This is not a vote on the whole motion itself. Madam Clerk, reverse alphabetical order without looking at the council list. I'm only kidding, however you want to do it.
Councilman Wright?
No.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Robinson? Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri?
Yes.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
So now the motion is to move forward with the project and it coming back to council as the manager and attorney see fit. We are voting on the actual motion itself. Madam Clerk, going by reverse alphabetical order of the third letter of the last name of, in normal order, in normal alphabetical order, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Councilman Wright, it's your turn. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Prasad, have you anything else on your council discussion item?
No. I'm sorry for that.
Mr. Mayor, I would like a detailed explanation of what you just gave me instruction to do. No, I really don't. I'm fine.
Oh, thank God.
Everybody got jokes.
Councilman Prasad, later on, can I have a hug? Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. I would like to point out before we move on to Councilman Wright, that sometimes things can get testy here, emotions are here. You have 9 bright people, all, you don't get into politics unless you have an ego, all with ideas that they want to go forward, and we just handled that very civilly. So I appreciate that. Councilman Wright.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Councilman Prasad
Peacefully
said,
and nonviolently. Sorry to interrupt.
as Councilman Prasad noted, and our township manager informed us that the meeting that we have tomorrow for our land use will all be about 15 minutes. So that should work pretty good, even though our resident Yeah, there you go. He's not here. Was he abroad or something?
Actually, I believe he's attending to a family function out of state.
Out of state. There you go. The only thing I have left is we had a redevelopment meeting. And what we did was we discussed RPM, which is building our low-income housing, and moderate and market rate housing. Leewood, that's building the townhouses along the road of 27. We discussed those issues, which was basically an update. We paid our attorney fees, and we submitted our budget, even though it was late. We submitted our budget for approval. And the only other thing that we did was one of the settlements we had was abuse settlement, air conditioning and high vac service. They agreed to the motion of a settlement. They did everything they needed to do, and they moved on. And that was it. So basically, redevelopment lasted all of 20 minutes, and we were done there. That's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. Deputy Mayor Chanel Robinson.
Well, my phone died, so my report, the one committee I wanted to report on, but,
Which committee is that?
IT steering, so.
Here are my notes from IT
Okay,
steering.
thank you. All right, let's
If
see,
you can
I
read
read
them.
this handwriting?
Yeah, that's a challenge.
Yeah, it is a challenge. So IT steering committee met, Councilwoman Francois, myself, and Mayor Kramer are on that committee. So we talked about some committees and having their meetings televised and/or on YouTube. So the following committees will be on YouTube only and/or cable television. FTTV, and that's to promote more transparency in government. And so we pride ourselves on doing things with excellence, as you can tell, getting bogged down in the details. However, technology, I tell you, I can't read all of that right.
Yeah, I didn't take notes on that particular thing. I'm trying to see. Here we have. There we go. This is Justin's email.
Yes, thank you. All right, so the following for YouTube and cable television broadcast: Open Space, Historic Preservation, and Hamilton Street. YouTube only: Advisory Board of Health, Trails Advisory, Human Relations Commissions, and the Environmental Commission. And then there's further discussions on other boards and committees to be determined and further discussion. Other than that, just in regards to the peace and nonviolence, of course, we are all concerned with what's going on in today's day and age with the shootings in the schools. We need to come together to make sure that we have a united front, that peace and nonviolence is the way to go. We don't need any more turmoil in our lives, and certainly we don't want to be a part of either being that external force to bring it in, but yet to be a resolve to combat it. So that's all that I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. There were some other points at the IT Steering Committee. The AM emergency broadcast station, for lack of a better term, which will also be broadcasting daily for just traffic updates and weather updates, is all hooked up, and we're hoping we'll start broadcasting in a month. The operational wireless network, we're having a study on that. We voted for that. That is a wireless network throughout the town for the municipality to be able to receive, in other words, the business, municipal workers, police, perhaps fire, the schools, sewer, to be able to use, not for the general public, though that conceivably could be the first seed to such a thing. But that study will be beginning soon, and they'll be coming back to council with a number of scenarios that are possible and costs with that. And that is, I think that's all I have. Oh, wait. Oh, and then net neutrality. I have received many emails on people asking us to take a net neutrality pledge. And I had Mr. Hyman, our network IT specialist, review that, and he felt that, given what the governor has recently done, that New Jersey will only buy from net neutral providers, that making that pledge would be simple. So council will be considering that in the future. That is all I had. Mr. Galtieri indicated to me he had one other thing or another point or two to add.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I guess being the disadvantage of going first is you don't get enough time to prepare some of the comments when you come right out of a committee meeting. So I just want to re-emphasize what Councilman Bassanel, and this, we are not starting all over again, hopefully. Councilman Bassanel had pointed out, the rough estimate is of the roads requested to be paved, we are doing approximately 75% of the roads. So that's a significant amount that we're going to be covering. And just as a note, that any roads that were on our original list that we excluded, there was great consideration taken into account, so that if we know there was an upcoming utility project on those roads, we excluded those for this year to avoid one of the complaints that we tend to typically hear of, why didn't we plan ahead and plan in advance? So that was actually taken into considerations as best as we could. Of course, emergencies might come up, but if we knew a project was coming up, we did take that into account. So if your road is, unfortunately, if your road is starting to need some work, steps will be taken to temporarily patch as best as we can. And then also we do have the list ready for next year as well to make sure that anything that got missed this year will be included as best as we can in the coming year or so. So, Mr. Mayor, that's all I had. I just want to circle back to clarify some of the comments that were made. Thank you.
Thank you, and so ends the world's longest council committee report. Mr. Manager, save us. Have a short report.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. How are you tonight?
I'm doing okay.
I'm glad to hear it. I just have a couple quick things to report on. Most of them actually involve you, Mr. Mayor.
Am I in trouble?
On June 2nd, which is a Saturday from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., the township will be celebrating National Trails Day at the Griggstown Native Grassland Preserve. If you come there at 9:30 and meet the people that are going to be celebrating National Trails Day on the Griggstown Causeway, you get to go on a walk led by our mayor, Philip Kramer. And
videographer, close-up of the mayor, please.
If you have any questions or you'd like to RSVP or make any inquiries whatsoever about the Walk with the Mayor, you can send an email to franklintrails@franklinnj.gov. That's an email address for, among other things, several that she monitors. Tara Kenyon, our land preservation and management consultant, who's organizing the event. So, National Trails Day, June 2nd. Griggstown Causeway, I believe, is the meeting place to kick off at 9:30 to go for a nice walk on one of our most beautiful open space properties. And then, just as a reminder, that this upcoming Monday, May 28th, is Memorial Day. And the township will honor all of those who died in the service of our country with a parade on DeMott Lane, starting at New Brunswick Road and ending at the Veterans Monument Memorial in front of our building here for a memorial service immediately following the parade. So I invite all of you to come out. Thank Bob LaCourte for once again organizing the parade, as Bob has done for a number of years. And so certainly come out and honor those who have fallen on behalf of our country. And it starts at 11 o'clock. The parade is at 11, and the memorial service immediately following. And then one other thing, the mayor actually mentioned it in his State of the Township report, but the 7th Annual Franklin Township Police Youth Academy will be held the week of Monday, July 16th through July 20th. I would encourage anyone who has a child between the ages of 7th to 10th grade who is interested in attending that. It is limited to 30 cadets due to the limited size and control of this particular event. It's been very, very, very successful. You can apply online. The applications are due by June 11th. If you go to the Township website and drill down to the police department, there's a link on the police department page, and I strongly urge anyone who has a child interested in attending that youth academy, do it sooner rather than later, because it fills up very, very fast.
It's an amazing experience. Councilwoman Francois was a big part of it starting. I gone to the graduations. It's worthwhile.
Yeah, we started that program with Franklin Youth Initiative years ago, and the police took it over, and they've been running with it, and it's been phenomenal.
So, and that's all. And the only other thing I have to say, Mr. Mayor, is no more sticks. Yes. They're done. As of today, the last little bit got picked up.
We are done picking up your sticks. If you still have sticks out there, then that's probably because you put them out after they went by. Councilman Vasanella.
If there sticks out, they went out after the street was taken care of. The last little bit, and there might be a stray one, but the crews are basically done.
Councilman Vasanella.
You ready? Okay. So you said no. The manager brought it up. There's a very big stick, and I say that seriously. On the frontage road on Easton Avenue, it came down in a storm. I believe somebody thinks the county's removing it. I thought that as we went by into the Easton, it's a log sitting right on the side of the sidewalk.
So it would be a county responsibility. We'll certainly report it to them.
But, yeah, 2 months ago,
But if it wasn't cut up into 4-foot-long sections, Councilman, then it wouldn't have gotten picked up by our crews.
I understand. I'm just saying, you made me think of it. That's what I'm saying. It's a big stick. Seriously, though, if we can get the county on it. But I wanted to make sure that people, if I stated the date, the big soccer event that I was talking about, Family Fun Day, is June 2nd, Saturday, not this Saturday, in case I suggested this Saturday. Thank you, Mayor.
Please note that at 8:37, the Township Council informed the mayor that he has lost control of the meeting. The clerk has reminded me that the next council meeting is not on the 12th, which was the first Tuesday of the month. It is going to be on the 13th due to council commitments on the 12th. And I think yes, I had one announcement. So everyone may notice over there a young, handsome gentleman sitting with a laptop wondering what is going on here. That is Davon Johnson. He is my intern. He became my intern by asking me to and then being very persistent in asking me, showing me that he can stand up for himself and be persistent. He's done a great job so far, and people are going to be seeing more of him this summer. He is a Rutgers student, I guess it's called a rising junior. He's about to be a junior, and so far I am very impressed. And now we are on to council discussion items for which there are none. And finally, the actual meeting begins. Approval of the minutes. I present the following minutes for approval for the township, by the Township Council. The Township Council budget meeting on February 12th, 2018 at 7 p.m., the work session regular meeting on May 8th at 7 p.m., and the executive session on May 8th.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion, any corrections? All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Chaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
On to approval of the warrants. Warrants in the amount of $4,886,453.89 on May 22nd, 2018 are presented to the Township Council for payment. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion, any questions on the Warrants? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Chaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
We are on to item number 12. Finally, Community Development Block Grant Program. A public hearing on Community Development Block Grant 2017 Action Plan, Substantial Amendment Numbers 2 and 3. Do I have a motion to open public hearing?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on opening for public hearing? Seeing none, hearing none. All in favor of opening for public discussion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. We are now open for public discussion on this item only.
Mayor's, oh,
You can come up later. Or you can come up for the actual talk. Go ahead.
Mayor, seeing no one coming forward, a motion to close the public portion of the
Seconded.
hearing.
Moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion on it, all in favor of closing public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. So now, resolution authorizing substantial amendment number 2, Community Development Block Grant Action Plan 2017. In brief, there is money from the 2017 plan because affordable houses were sold that were get grants under the CDBG grant. And after they're sold, there's money left over, and that is now available. And you can come up and tell us more and how the mayor made a mistake there or something.
Clarify a little bit.
Speak into the mic, right into
When
the
when the program receives funds into it, in this instance, we had about 7 homes that were sold during the course of the past few months from renovations with our community development block grant funds. When the funds exceed $25,000, it now becomes program income, and we had quite an input of funds in between February and March that necessitates us amending our action plan in order to spend that money. So we have a total of it's a total of $130,000, and we have to spread those funds out. We're doing 2 projects with that. They were already highlighted in our action plan for 2017 last year. We're doing sidewalks in the Hamilton Street area, and we're increasing the funds amount to the Sisters of Central New Jersey to $30,000 so that they can complete their project. I think that's it. We're going to vote on the amendment number 2 tonight, and amendment number 3 you'll vote on in June, because those monies actually came in after I'd already published this first amendment notice. That's all I have.
questions? Okay, seeing none, resolution 18181, authorize substantial amendment number 2, Community Development Block Grant Action Plan 2017.
Motion for the resolution.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Chaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Resolution 18182, to read calendar year 2018 Hamilton Street Special Improvement District budget by title. Is hereby presented to Township Council for consideration. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion, seeing none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Chaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Robinson? Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Okay. And now it is appropriate to open for public discussion. Do I have a motion to open for public discussion on this?
So
item?
moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on opening for public discussion? Seeing none. All in favor, say
Aye.
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 Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. We are now open for public discussion on calendar year 2018 Hamilton Street SID budget.
Mayor, seeing no one from the public coming forward, I motion to close the public portion of the hearing on the budget.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Seeing no discussion on closing. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion is carried. Public discussion is closed. And now the resolution to adopt the 2018 Hamilton Street Special Improvement District budget as introduced. Do I have a motion for
moved.
that?
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. So, discussion, this was introduced on April 24th, and this is for our Special Improvement District, and there is no assessment this year. In other words, the businesses there do not have to pay quote-unquote property tax type payment for that. I've heard rumors that this will be the last year they won't have to pay, may have to pay next year, but that's reading tea leaves in government, who knows? Any other discussion? Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Chaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Public hearing and adoption of ordinances on second reading, there are none, because we didn't introduce any last time. And now ordinances for adoption, for introduction, not for adoption, but for introduction and first reading. Ordinance 4236-18, Councilwoman Kimberly Francois, this is something very near and dear to your heart. Would you please do us the honor of reading the title?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ordinance number 4236-18, capital ordinance appropriating $970,000 from the capital fund balance to pay for the youth center architecture and engineering costs for the Township of Franklin and the County of Somerset, State of New Jersey. So what this is a capital ordinance being introduced to fund the architecture and engineering for the youth center. In June, we will adopt, and then in the first meeting in July, we will award a contract to the architecture firm to get the project started. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
You are welcome. Do we have a motion? Wait. Councilwoman Francois, do we have a motion?
I make a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, if I could just add something to that. So
Yes.
on the 13th of June, representative of Kimmel Bergret Architectural Design Firm will be here for a council discussion item to talk about exactly what they will be doing on behalf of the township for this money that you're voting on today and then again on June 13th. So we'll have a quick presentation by them again about the process and how we proceed.
For $1 million, they darn well better.
No, that's why they're going to come here and tell you all about what they're going to do. And it's not only them, there are other firms that will be involved, but they'll come here and tell you how they're going to manage that program, that process.
Great. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Chaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Okay, so that public hearing is June 13th at 7 p.m., or that's when the meeting starts. Okay, we are now on to the consent agenda. Items A through AJ is listed on the consent agenda. Portion of this meeting are presented to the Township Council for adoption. Do we have a motion?
So moved. Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Does anyone have discussion? Would anyone like to ask a question on any item? Does anyone?
Yes,
want to
Mr.
pull
Mayor,
an
we
item?
do have a question.
Yes, sir, Mr. Wright.
Well, I don't want to pull anything off the agenda. I would just like to highlight for the residents out there in TV land, and I'm just going to read that little piece of it and note all of them. It's an award a contract to the Middlesex Regional Cooperative Purchasing Program, or MRESC, the following items: the replacement of bleachers at Neiman Williams Park, the installation of rubber surface at Castleton Park, the game time MRC replacement playground structures at various locations, the installation of a rubber surface at Conservoy Park, the rubber cycle installation, which is a rubber surface at Middlebush Park. Those are things that you probably won't know that they're there, that they were done, but when you go out to the fields or the park itself and you realize, hey, that wasn't there before, hey, this is actually looking better, hey, I can actually run on this, that's because this is your money going out to make your town, your recreation facilities better. Now, we also have some things on there through this cooperative, lighting fixtures, dump trucks, you know, all kind of things through a cooperative that we're buying here. But I want to let you know that these are the things that you don't know that are being done. If you don't come down here to the township and see our master clerk, Ms. McCarthy, and pick up a copy of our agenda, if you don't go to the website and look at, forget everything above, look at where we're spending your money at that you don't know, which is the consent agenda. And I just wanted to highlight those objects, and we're going to forsake our Ask the Manager this council meeting and come back to it at another time. But please, I urge you to please look at the consent agenda, realize what we're doing and how we're doing business. As you just saw, the mayor and I and all 9 of us get together and discuss something that Councilman Prasad brought up. That's something that you should come down and actually see, because this is how business operates here. This is your township. Come down and be a part of it, instead of sitting back and saying, oh, I wish we should have done this or that. Come down and let us know how you feel. Come down and put your voice into the mix. That's all I have to say. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Well said. Anyone else wish to pull an item, discuss an item? Councilwoman Robinson.
AD through 8F regarding LED lighting. And I thought there was one in here about windows. But what I would like to see for the record is at some point get a baseline of what we're paying for energy costs now and the cost savings over a period of time once these projects are done.
So what I would, just in response to that, and you may recall, it was probably about a month or 2 ago that there was a consent agenda item authorizing, I believe it was done, authorizing the application for a grant to have energy audits done on all of our buildings. So kind of along those lines of what you're asking for. And so that's what we're looking forward to as part of all of this process, is in addition to making the improvements, is doing an audit on our buildings to see how those improvements have affected our bottom line bill.
Okay. Anyone else? So I would just briefly like to point out item M, authorize Historic Preservation Advisory Commission certified local government application. This is the 3rd time we are applying to the state, and I'm blaming the state for it taking 3 times, but hopefully 3 will be the charm. And then the last thing is, if you look carefully through this, you'll see we're spending a lot of money. In fact, $1,675,000 and some change. That's the money that we agreed on in the budget. And the only thing worse than taxing people is taxing people and then not using the money. So this is your tax dollars at work. Anyone else? Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Oni Chaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
So, item 17, resolutions to be voted on separately, there are none. Item 18, old business, boards and commissions. Anyone wish to nominate someone to a board?
Yes. Mr. Mayor, go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, I want to move a motion to appoint the following people into Unkwele Sister Series Ad Hoc Committee. Number one, Engineer Iheme as the chairman. Number two, Lady Chinyere Nyejiaka, secretary. Number three, the king of the town, His Royal Highness Chijoke Akwara, that's the PhD. And the three of them, I want to nominate them as the ad hoc committee. I move motion for that.
So it's for the sister cities.
Yes.
It's an ad hoc committee. Do we need to, I guess they do need to be nominated.
And then if that's your question.
I know they don't need to be seconded. Do they need to be?
You probably should. You
Okay.
you did vote to create it, so I talked to Councilman Onajaka, and I said, the next step would be appointing people to the committee. You can
Yes,
certainly
that's
do
what
it
I
by
did.
voice vote, Mayor.
Yes.
All right, any other nominations for this committee? Hearing none. All in favor of those nominations, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. They are nominated. Any other nominations for any other boards?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I have a motion to appoint Brian Regan, the Sewage Authority Executive Director, to the Municipal Wastewater Management Planning Committee for an unexpired one-year term ending December 31st, 2018.
Okay, are there any other nominations for that position? Hearing none, we can do it by acclamation. All in favor of Brian Regan for the Wastewater Commission, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried, or nomination is carried. Congratulations, Mr. Regan. Note, I didn't congratulate people to the last committee because that had a little trouble with the names. Any other nominations?
Yeah, just for the record, the Sri Lankan sister city, we did have people that we thought nominated for it, the ad hoc committee.
Clerk is indicating that she does not have those
No,
names.
to date, all you've appointed were the 2 council liaisons and now the one committee. So if you can send me the names, or if you want to do it now, because I watched all the meetings this year.
No, our attorney has the revised sister city program, name, et cetera, and we're waiting to get that back from our attorney, and then we'll forward it to the Sri Lankan ambassador. So
Great.
then we'll appoint, there are a lot of volunteers, so we can appoint the ad hoc committee very easily.
We will rely on you for that.
Right.
Any other nominations for any other committees? Then we are on item number 19, executive session, resolution 18-220, authorized executive session, litigation, LGMB, I don't have to read what's in the parentheses, but I will. LLC DBA tapped into Franklin Oprah is presented to the Township Council for adoption. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk?
Councilwoman Francois?
Yes.
Councilman Galtieri?
Yes.
Mayor Kramer?
Yes.
Councilman Onijaka?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Robinson?
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
So at this time, the Township Council is going to adjourn to executive session for the litigations before mentioned. There are going to be no other actions afterwards taken by the council. So when we come out, all we're going to do is adjourn the meeting. That ends the taping for now. That's the end of the meeting. Be well, Franklin.